Tēnā koutou katoa, everyone, or as we say, welcome everyone to the Internship and Careers Development webinar. Today, I've got a fabulous panel of colleagues, friends with us today, and I'll introduce myself as Victoria McInerney. I'm the Regional Market Manager. I've got Sarah Ewing next to myself.
Kia ora, I'm the Regional Market Manager as well, working in the International Office in the University of Otago.
And then we've got the lovely Yvonne Gold from the Careers Development Centre.
And I'm postgraduate and international career advisor.
Grace from Startup Dunedin, program facilitator. Lovely to have you here today.
Thank you. It's awesome to be here.
And then fabulous Ria Ratu. She's an Otago alumni, and you did your Masters in Finance, and it's fabulous to have you on the panel. We're going to hear a lot more about Ria's journey and where it's taken her and what she's doing now.
Thank you.
So we've got quite a big agenda to get through in 60 minutes. Just ever so quickly, the Q&A is live. You can put some questions in there. We've got a team behind the scenes, and they'll be feeding through those questions, and hopefully we've got enough time to answer them towards the end of the webinar.
Okay, so running through the agenda, as you can see, we're going to start off with a global snapshot, then talk about New Zealand, Dunedin, where the University of Otago is located. We'll then deep dive into Ria's alumni story, how Otago prepares you for your future career. We'll have time for a panel discussion and then hopefully wrap it up with some Q&A. So moving on to section 1 and a global snapshot. So we're going to pass this over to Yvonne, who can speak to the mega trends of careers.
Well, these are some really good trends that are shaping where careers and where jobs are going to be for the future. So, just realising that, especially with the advent of AI and machine learning, that it's making some really big shifts in the way we work and the types of jobs that are going to be available. So, future-proof yourself. It's really good to understand your own values and know what it is that, is really driving you with your career. And I think the sustainable goals are helpful for that. If you can think about which area do you want to help in, then that can guide you with what you're doing and what you're wanting to achieve.
Who's done that, Yvonne? We're having a chat with the career development team earlier. And traditionally, I've always asked, what career outcome do you want? Is that changing now?
Well, I think people need to think about it changing, So, for instance, like just X-rays, instead of a human looking at them, now AI is looking at them, being faster and quicker. And, so you really need to think about the future trends so that you're not just skilling yourself up for the right here and now, it's also thinking about the future. So the key word in there is skills, and also I think it's a really important thing to understand how you learn quickly and effectively.
Cool. So going on to the distinct elements of talents, is this where the skills come into play?
It is, exactly. And, there's obviously why a lot of people come to university for those cognitive skills, and it's really important for universities to teach people to be critical thinkers. But when you're not just learning content, when you're thinking about what you're learning and you're learning to communicate that, you're learning to work with other people to understand that, you might even just be planning how you do your work. They are transferable skills that you can take with you as you go. Always I think employers look for graduates who have established some sort of leadership skills. These are the people that people will expect to lead people in the future. And, you know, what something as AI doesn't quite get as yet, and maybe it will, but it's those interpersonal skills up in the corner that are hugely important to build. This is often what makes a real big difference to employers. How can you communicate? How can you build relationships with people? And, you know, just mentioning AI and those digital skills, you've really got to keep yourself up to date with digital literacy, software, and understanding those sorts of systems.
Kind of like it too with like under self-leadership, and you've got courage and risk-taking, which anyone that's wanting to study overseas, that's you are. You know, you can put that in a cover letter. You know, I was courageous and risk-taking of actually leaving my country, coming to study and see where it takes me.
Yeah, for sure. And in the startup space and who you work with the students, do you see similar skills and trends emerging there?
Definitely, especially in the kind of cognitive, interpersonal and self-leadership. You kind of need a combination of all of those things when you're taking a project out into the world, or when you're looking at, can I make money from this, or can I create a not-for-profit that's self-sustaining from this? And like through testing one of your ideas, you get to give a lot of evidence behind that when you're going for jobs and things.
Awesome. So all round brilliant things. So again, talking to those reskilling needs, we've already alluded to this, that AI is going to be a game changer and it is a disruptor, but how do we look forward in the future? So that just gives you some reskilling needs there in the next 5 years. So it's an exciting time to be around. Lots of change. And it's adapting to that change, and that's a great thing that university and what we're talking about today can help guide you there. So going now more into what can New Zealand offer you, a little bit of a snapshot here. I think as a smaller country, sometimes we're often overlooked about what career opportunities are available, being a population of 5 million, but we've got some great opportunities within this country. As you can see from around the room, few of us are migrants, few of us are New Zealanders, and we've chosen to live in this fabulous little part of the world. So looking at our top 10 industries, you can see that's professional, scientific and technical services. I'm not going to go through all of them, but it gives you an indication in size of our GDP of our country, and where our New Zealand sectors of strengths are. So this is our growth opportunities. So renewable energies, not many people know that we have a commercial rocket launching station in New Zealand called Rocket Lab that's doing some fantastic things. Big in the tech and innovation space. Tourism is a key part of our GDP moving forward, as well as food and beverage innovation as well. So a lot, I think, in the past, people have thought of us as purely being agricultural, maybe, and they see pictures of mountains and pictures of sheep and farming, but we go really into that tech space and how we all join everything together. So some great opportunities. And the Deloitte Master of Growth Index. So this is something that is launched every year. It's actually coming out this month, later on 2024. It just gives you an idea of the scale of where our fastest growing companies are. And delighted to say number 15 on the list last year is Education Perfect, which is perfect because that is who Rhea is working for. And she'll be able to talk a little bit more about that. But you can see the breadth of areas that these companies are in, and there'll be names you won't recognize a lot of the time. This isn't your big, it's not your PwCs or your Deloitte, yes, your multinationals. This is New Zealand companies who are going global, and we've got some great examples of that we'll talk about today. So what New Zealand employers are looking for, and we've just pulled and highlighted some of the skills. So really talking to Yvonne and the skills that you were talking about earlier on, and being analytical, excellent time management skills, communication skills. And that is all taught within university and extracurricular activities that you can do here. So just a nice little snapshot. Our largest jobs website, seek.co.nz. If you want to have a filter through that, you can get a feel for what employers are looking for in New Zealand. Again, you can see some examples there are what in Dunedin. So then moving on to our fabulous city and our city of core strength. So we are located in the lower part of the South Island. If you're not familiar where we are in New Zealand, our core sectors of strength in Dunedin specifically are education, which obviously being a university city, we are one of, but also Rhea can talk to that with Education Perfect and what comes out of that. Tourism, healthcare and social assistance, but really where our growth areas are within that professional scientific services, hub for startup and innovation, and that's why we have Grace here from Startup Dunedin who can tell you some of the amazing stories that have come out of there in careers as well as companies. And where the sectors really are to watch as being a medical university is that blend between health and tech, right? We've got quite a few companies that have come out of that. Off the top of your head, can you name a couple? Bliss Technologies, I'm wanting to say.
Pacific
Edge, Bliss.
Bliss, yeah. Zest.
Yeah.
Abacus Bio.
Yes, and they're just to name a few. So
Moritane.
So there's within our small city, we have those companies coming out. And another one is game development. So we are a city of digital excellence, and there's been a lot of investment within code, as it's nicknamed, and that's now gone throughout New Zealand. So game development's a big part and contributes to our economy as well as globally. So moving on to the fact that we are a startup hub, and we'll get Grace to have a bit of a chat about Startup Dunedin.
Yeah, so Dunedin is a great place to test out kind of entrepreneurial skills and things. And Dunedin is actually one of the few places in New Zealand that has a startup hub and startup support for students going through your academic work. So what we do is we help people to de-risk their ideas and to encourage the entrepreneurial mindset. So you don't need to be running a huge business to have an entrepreneurial mindset. And it's about how do you learn these skills that are going to benefit you in multiple careers, whether that's taking it to your local sports club or your church, or whether it's starting a not-for-profit or starting a business or going into an existing career.
So is this opportunity open just to business students, or can this be anybody?
It is absolutely anyone, and anyone that's based in Dunedin. So even if you're not studying, we do have one program that's specifically for students at the university and the Polytechnic, which takes you through how do you start a business. It starts with a problem. So if you have something that really annoys you, come on in and we will help you solve that. And so Audacious is a really great program to kind of add in as an extra to your work. There's no deadlines except for the very last one, and you get really hands-on support to help you through those steps. The blessing at Startup Dunedin and Dunedin in general is that Dunedin is really connected as a city. And so it's really easy to say, hey, I'm really interested in spinning out the science research. Who would I talk to? And we can very quickly connect you. If you want to do something with the Aratoi or the arts group of our council, we can easily connect you there. And so it's super easy to come in and get networked. And an example is we talked about Rocket Labs just earlier. Back in the day when I was working on a project, I actually went up to Rocket Labs and got to meet the CEO.
Oh, no so way, that's my dream to go and see Rocket
Peter
Lab.
was pretty awesome. And so it's just such a great place to get connected and know the right people who know the right people outside of that.
Yeah. So it's not even within Dunedin then, right? Like you can get connected out with the city.
And I like the idea too that it's not just for students as well. So it's like even, say, international students who bring their partners, they
Yeah.
could even come and see you at Startup and get that advice, as well as Career Development Centre, which is really lovely as well. So
Yeah.
we're there for the whole international student community.
Yeah, and it's really easy to get also connected into national programs. So
Okay.
there are a few nationwide startup hubs that run big programs. We can try and get you into those ones or make the connections where they are needed.
Awesome. So basically, come here, make sure you go down to Startup Dunedin, and you're going to end up being connected within whatever field that you're really interested in. Fantastic. So Grace touched on the programs there. Did you want to talk a little bit about the free meetings and the distiller?
Yeah, so we have anyone that's based in Dunedin can come in for a free meeting with us for 15 minutes. So what we do is kind of talk about what might you want to do next, what resources can we give you to help you to de-risk your business, and who might we want to connect you with. We then have Audacious, which I talked about previously, which is for tertiary students. And we take you through the steps. Then we have the Distiller Incubator, which is for high scale, high growth companies to come in and you get one-on-one coaching and kind of connect in with the local ecosystem. But the best way, book a free meeting or join Audacious next year.
So is there a charge for students to join Audacious?
No, so everything we do is for free. So we've got some awesome sponsors, the City Council, the University of Otago, and the Polytech here. They are all awesome and let us keep doing what we do for free for everyone.
So I just want to reiterate. So I'm a science student. I'm working on bioengineering. I've got some research, and out of that comes an idea that I think I can commercialize. After I've graduated, I can come and see you.
You can come and see us, and the blessing is that as long as you're not working off your lecturer's research, and in most cases, students own their own IP. So we would look at how do we protect it, who might we connect you with? So Otago Innovation might be a natural next step as well. And figure out, cool, how do I look at the market? Who would be the potential customers? What are my pathways? And it really comes down to your goals and ambitions as to which pathway you want to go after.
But a lot of this, it isn't just for people wanting to start their own business, right? Like this is a skill set that you could take into an existing business.
Yeah, so we have a real mix of people, and so it comes from across the university and across really different areas. So we tend to get a lot of like food trucks and things, but we also get people that are doing disease outbreaks in cattle.
Wow.
So we get a huge range, and it's all about kind of connecting the dots. The principles are the same, but even if you want to come in and just make yourself get some skills that will make you more employable, that is an awesome pathway as well. It's just about building the capability of everyone, and ideally everyone will get a job in Dunedin because we want to keep you here because it's awesome.
Fantastic. And that is a great slide that talks to where Startup Dunedin is within Dunedin, but also all the external.
Yeah, and Dunedin operates on an open door policy, or no wrong door. So if you were to go to Code, which we talked about earlier, and you're building a startup, they might direct you to Startup Dunedin. If you come into us or Business South and you need support, we will link you straight away to the right people. No one's going to close your door. That's the blessing of Dunedin, is everyone is friendly down here, and there's kind of no wrong way to approach it, and there's a lot of free support out there. So it's awesome.
Fantastic. Okay, so you've heard a bit about Startup Dunedin, and now we're going to deep dive into Rhea, who was a Master of Finance student at Otago and now working for Education Perfect. Dunedin tends to work on 0.5 degrees of separation and connection. New Zealand's about connection. So I think is there a connection here?
Well, yes, actually two. I think my household at this point is fully funded by startups that started here. So Education Perfect is where I work, and my partner works at Pocketsmith, which is also a success story. So yeah, 2 points of connection there.
So come to Startup Dunedin, get your top idea, and then look at the awesome people you can hire later on.
Because they become so
Me.
and they become so successful, they need employees.
Yeah.
So there you go.
So you came here, give us a bit of your backstory, where you were working prior to coming to New Zealand, the degree, and then, yeah, what happened next?
So I finished my undergrad in India in accounting, and I was working as an auditor with Grant Thornton before I moved to New Zealand. And I was very sure I wanted to branch out into finance, which would broaden my spectrum, but keep it within the same industry. So finance was an easy choice at that point. And I was very particular that the course needs to have a project element and not just theory. So the master's program was perfect. Yeah, so 12-month course, I was like, plug in and get that degree. But obviously the end goal was to come out with a job in hand. And I think the very first month I walked into the doors there and got my CV fixed, because obviously when you're moving countries, your CVs are quite different. The Indian approach to it versus the New Zealand approach is quite different. So that was my first step in the process, and did a couple of mentorships, and within the uni, got a part-time job that sort of opened up a big set of skills, which you usually wouldn't get as an auditor, working with other people as compared to Excel sheets.
Oh.
And that brought me closer to understanding what the needs of an employer within New Zealand would be. And that sort of pushed me to align myself to Education Perfect's needs.
Fantastic. So what opportunity did you get within the university?
So the Disability Centre hosts an opportunity where you can mentor students, teach them. You can also be a writer for them when they're doing the exams, or read questions to them for their exam season. So I picked up tiny jobs like that during my off time, which was great. I learned a lot. And hopefully whoever I was mentoring learned a bit too. So yeah, that's what I did most of the time.
Fantastic. And adding to the CV. So again, I think it's questions we get asked a lot: what part-time jobs can you get while you're studying? So there is opportunity within the university itself with lots of different skill sets to bring in. Yeah.
Yeah, and if you're lucky, you could also just be assisting your own professor within the department. So it's a lot of opportunity.
Yeah. In New Zealand, you can work on campus, but you can also work off campus as an international student, because I know in the US you can't do that.
Okay,
So, yeah.
cool. Yeah, so I guess take advantage
Yes.
early.
Yeah.
Come and see the fabulous Yvonne. Oh, and that's great. And now you've been with Education Perfect for how long?
3.5 years now. Yeah.
Fantastic. And how's it been with your time working there?
It's been a great learning curve. Obviously, it's a ever evolving industry, and everything's changing. Like you said, AI is coming in. It's the next big thing even in teaching. So we as a company have to align stuff and make sure we're ahead of competition. So much going on, and so many different roles in the last 3.5 years, but it's been great.
Fantastic. And Education Perfect just within Dunedin, or how far is their reach?
We're spread across 5 or 6 countries. So geographically, we're all over the world. So we might look like we're placed our headquarters in Dunedin, but we've got reaches everywhere.
It's awesome to hear about like a local story that has gone from 5-10 years ago being a team of like 4 to suddenly being a global company.
Yeah.
So there must be lots of employees.
Lots
now.
of employees. Yeah,
That's
doing
awesome.
payroll, you sort of know everybody.
And are they employing local students to
Oh
help
yeah,
out?
we're always opening up for more fresh talent coming out of uni. I mean, the idea is like some of our tech interns always end up getting permanent roles, and they're the ones who come up with like fresh ideas because they have such a different perspective of looking at a problem, which is great.
Fantastic.
So,
Good times ahead. So that leads us on to, well, why would you study in New Zealand?
Yeah, and I think that the fabulous thing about New Zealand is that not only do you get world-class education, but I think you've been hearing from this panel discussion that you get a lot of, there's that problem solving and that creativity that comes through, not only when you're studying in New Zealand, but also for those graduate attributes too. Being a research-intensive university like Otago, there's a lot of international collaboration with our partner universities and also government organisations too through New Zealand. And we're a shout out, look, we're the second best in the world in producing graduates with problem-solving skills, so why not?
Exactly right.
The principles of Manaki Tanga. Grace, you basically touched on this when you said with Dunedin and how it is in Startup Dunedin that no door closes, every door opens. And so Manaki Tanga is this kindness and this support that comes through in our values as being a New Zealander. And it does really set us apart from other countries. And I think that resonates with international students when you study here. Would you, Ria?
Yes.
Say that? Yeah.
100%. Like I got into education perfect with a very temporary job. All I had to do was raise my hand and say, I need a job. Is there an opening? And my then boss was kind enough to actually go around and ask other teams.
Oh,
that's how I landed my job.
Yeah,
so,
that's Manaki Tanga.
yeah.
Yeah. And
Makes you very proud.
Yes.
As New Zealander.
And I think people in Dunedin are really keen to make that connection with people and help people connect with others. And it's about seeing everyone as a human and a human with really interesting skills and interesting perspectives. And how can we actually add into that to improve things using those problem-solving skills and make a community better.
Yeah, and I think too, because we're also a strong university city, we attract a lot of people from around the world.
Yeah.
So it's very multi-ethnic, it's very diverse as well. Yeah, and it's that mentality of being outside a large city.
Yeah.
I think the psychologists say that there's a certain population, and after that, people don't tend to be as friendly or sort of that cooperation.
Yes,
yeah.
And I moved here a year ago. I've got some great friends and support around, and it's really easy to connect in.
Yeah.
Much easier than other cities.
Great plug there. So how Otago prepares you for your future career? So we're going to talk very quickly about the university. So if you don't already know about Otago, and we are New Zealand's first. We are a place of many firsts, and we keep reinventing firsts all over. We're ranked in the top 1% of universities in the world, hence producing fantastic graduates. Our lecturers and academic staff, excellent teachers. We have, to Vic's point, an incredibly diverse student mix here, and that's where the fresh perspectives come in. Exactly to Rhea's point, that new talent coming in produces new ideas and people working together. It's a really exciting place to be. And because we are small and compact, these ideas really germinate very easily across all sectors. So you can be a science student, but you become best friends with a business student and you have a science and business idea together. So it all melds really well. And that really important point about our graduates going directly into work and further study. Very quick on our rankings. We rank really highly in lots of different subjects across lots of different academic divisions. So again, where those melting pot of ideas all come in together. And we've also got New Zealand's best career service. So Yvonne and her team do an amazing job here, helping our graduates go on and to get great employment opportunities. So talk about great employment opportunities in the career service. Yvonne, this is about your career and where it takes you. Did you just want to touch on this?
Well, I mean, I think a lot of people have kind of touched on that personal thing about, this is who employers want as a person. They don't just want someone with great grades and choose someone because of their degree. They choose someone because they're a person. And what makes a person interesting is the things that they get involved in and what they actually learn from their work or their volunteer experience or even just an experience. So, if you're coming from overseas and coming here, you're learning a lot about fitting in, being resilient, and it's all those other things that are around your career that builds it up. It isn't just your degree. So you've got to think that 360 way about yourself and about, what's going to be on your CV, what sorts of things you can talk about that you've done that evidence your skills. I think that's something that is really important, is evidencing your skills. So if you say, I've got good time management skills, what is your evidence of that? How have you actually managed your time? So it's building that self-awareness about yourself. And it's putting yourself out there and getting involved in the community of the university, the community of the city, and the things that are there and available, so that you don't just sit in front of a screen and only focus on one small area, which is your grades, that you think about the big picture and how you do that.
And I think, Ria, you're saying when we were just talking before this webinar that's what you were doing too from the very start, weren't you, when you decided to come? And there's a lot of money you guys are investing in, right?
Yeah.
You want to make the most of it. So
because my course was only 12 months, you really don't have much time to lose between 2 full semesters of work and your project at the end of it. So you got to get your ducks in line early in the picture, like they say. So it was greatly timed for me, because the career expo was just the first couple of months after I joined. So I went around, met everybody, met all the companies. It's like, okay, this is what your requirements are. Now this is how I'm going to align myself so that at the end of next year, I will be in line to get a job.
Smart, really good way. And this is someone on the slide that we're showing now. You can see sort of the range of options that are available to you where you can get those soft skills. And I always find the word soft skills quite, it's actually really important skills. In fact, if anything, on top of your academics, really vital skills to get involved in lots of different things to add to your resume.
And make it stand out from all the other people that are applying for the same job.
And soft skills, transferable skills, same.
Yeah. I much prefer transferable skills. I think that's a great term for it.
They're quite hard.
Yes. Especially for maybe some of the introverts in the audience. We meet a lot of students, especially, who are shy. You're coming to a new country. It's really brave to be able to get out there and meet new people and connect. But there's great ways you can take advantage of this and end up with these graduate attributes. Fantastic thing with Otago is 86% of our students are away from home. So everybody's in a very similar boat, where they've all stood in those shoes if they've left home, whether or not it's from hundreds of miles away or thousands of miles away, but you will connect with somebody who has been through the same journey as you. And that's what gives this why they love Otago graduates, because you do have to stand on your own 2 feet, get connected, meet people, talk to Yvonne, come down and see Grace at Startup Dunedin, pester Rhea for a job. It really is there, and it's about showing your self-motivation, but also really getting involved in teamwork as well, which is a big part of the attributes that Otago has. So this touches on the Career Development Centre and all of the opportunities available that you can get involved in. Yvonne, your area of expertise again.
Yes, we've got a portal that when you become a student, you can log in using your student username and password. In there, you can look at all our events. As Ria said, you know, we have career expos and we have them throughout the year. And oops, and you pushed it forward.
Yeah. Oops.
And yeah, that's also where you can book an appointment. I mean, you don't have to, you can just walk into our centre or, you know, email one of us as well, or email me. So we provide workshops and seminars and just help you. I mean, this is what we want to do, is help you with your career planning. Out of our centre, we've also run the Otago Mentor Match and an employability programs to support you if you need a structure to work through, because a lot of people come to university and have never done any intentional career planning. You know, they've chosen a course to study, but not really thought about what they're going to do. So we've got some structured work there, some structured programs for you, but also some just-in-time information to help you to make that transition out into being either part-time work or full-time work. This is what we get paid for. And it's, you know, we're here for you.
The Social Impact Studio?
Yeah, so part of the Career Development Centre is the Social Impact Studio. And this is where is another great opportunity for you to get involved with other students and make inroads out into the community. As a uni crew volunteer, we have lots of community organisations who contact the Social Impact Studio and ask, have you got students that can come and help us? So we facilitate that. We also run a couple of programs for developing your leadership, especially for those people who want to create change in the community. And obviously, you know, to change things in the community, you also need to change yourself or recognise yourself and build your self-awareness. So, you know, a good goal is to become a global citizen, and what are you doing, or what can you do, or what do you want to do to be a good global citizen. I think there's a huge problems in the world that need solving, and, you know, start local. Yes, and the Centre for Sustainability are also starting really local. You know, some people, that might be you, don't know how to grow their own vegetables. So they've got a place where for international students you can grow and harvest your own vegetables. You know, we've got a bike place. You can, for a donation, you can get a bike to bike around the place. Again, it's being sustainable rather than coming and buying a car. Some people do. So cycling around the place is a really good sustainable way of getting about our city, actually. Yeah, we've got honeybees around the place and collect honey, and really, again, the sustainability office do focus around the sustainable development goals.
And some good internship opportunities as well for
Absolutely,
students as well.
yes, yeah. It's just getting involved. You know, you can come in there as well and start and lead something. If you come from a country where you're doing something and something isn't being done here, you know, that's a great way to create change and to make something happen. And yeah, that's going to be a great thing for your CV, and it's also going to be, you know, that evidence that you talk about your skills if you go for an interview as well.
Okay, and then anybody who's coming for undergrad, if you're wanting to take that career global, we have a fantastic opportunity for anything that's not health science, because it's science, Bachelor of Arts and BCom, where you can go out and do a global exchange as part of being an international student here. We've got 100 institutions worldwide, and again, putting that on your resume, fantastic way to stand out. Clubs and societies. Vic, do you want to touch on this?
Yeah, sure. As it says there, there's over 160. We've just got a little snapshot of the cultural clubs behind, and I'm sure you're quickly looking to see if your one's up there. But once again, this is a really good way for connecting, networking. You don't have to join your own cultural club. You could decide that, wow, I've always wanted to find out about Kiribati, and but it's not just cultural clubs. There's sporting clubs, there's, my goodness, there's clubs for everything. So it's all about that trying something new, and that leads to the networking, it leads to the connections, etc. And you're having fun, and you might be learning a little bit about someone's community, cultural awareness, or even New Zealand community along the way.
And it's your leadership skills too, right?
Yeah.
You can get onto committees, get event skills,
Be a
all of
secretary,
those things. Yeah,
financial.
lots of different skills that you can get involved in the clubs.
So we've got an array of either industry placement and internships. So I've just sort of divided this into the divisions and just ever so quickly. So health sciences, of course, if you're going to become a registered health science professional, like a doctor, etc., you've got to do your professional programs that are integrated into the curriculum. But for other programs, there are summer internships and commercialization opportunities. Then in your sciences, a lot of the coursework master programs do have a workplace-based project as part of their program. This is usually done in the summer holidays. Our academic year in the Southern Hemisphere goes from February to November. And then so the students have got 3 to almost 4 months to be on these kind of workplace projects, internships, etc.
I think that was talking with Ria when you were on your project and you asked if there was employment. And I know we've talked about it with health sciences when students are on rotation in a hospital or a pharmacy, actually putting it out there that you're looking for a job after you graduate, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, let people know, because that's to your open door. If they don't know you're looking, they'll just assume you have something. So yeah, could be out there and ask.
I was talking to a cohort. Oh, we'll go to the next one because I was talking to a cohort of business data science students, and they were doing their work placement. And majority of them had got a job from just doing the work placement project over the summer. It's fabulous. Yeah. Even under humanities, we've got internships. So basically, of course, it depends on the papers or the programs that you're doing, but there is that opportunity too for a humanities student. And then the business school. So we've got up there, there's a fabulous photo of our Bloomberg Market Labs, which are finance, business, data science, info science. There's a range of students that are using them. This is all live data. Once again, Otago has the largest Bloomberg Market laboratory. So this is real life data. It's like Bloomberg, you might see it on your cable TV. It came about because of the strong ties with our alumni. So the president of the share market is Otago alumni, and the CEO of, I think it was ANZ, is also Otago alumni. So they got together and
fantastic. So again, case in point that the degree just it's not Dunedin, it's global, right? Like this really does take you far and wide.
And then we've got a range here. Grace, you've got this Startup Dunedin there, but Ignite consultants as well. Do you dabble with them, or that's a bit separate?
Quite separate.
Okay. Yeah, so it's more for non-profit free business advice and strategic planning as well.
Actually, it was an international student that started Ignite Consultants.
Really?
Yeah, she came in, she wanted to be a consultant, and she said, how can I be a consultant if I don't get practice in it? And so she started that up. And got support, and so it's probably been going for maybe 15 years now.
Fantastic.
So yeah, and I mean, similar with the business case program, I mean, you know, looking at business cases, you would be doing that in a job, even if it's your own business, you know, like what are you doing or how are you doing it? So, you know, there's real stuff that you're learning. You're not just learning theoretical things, you're actually learning the skills for what you would do in a job.
Yeah. And also touching on the executive in residence or guest speakers, we have so many guest speakers that come down to Dunedin. You can meet them, you can listen to them, hear, you know, what they're doing. We've got CEOs. I think we've got the Reserve Bank Assistant Governor coming next semester. So there's some very high profile people who come down here and give their time, and we'll connect with you. So yeah, take advantage of everything that is here to offer.
And then this is just a little snapshot of the industry connections that the University of Otago has. There are multinationals in there that you'll see, as well as small to medium business, New Zealand startups. But for us as New Zealanders, these are all very, very strong brands that are around the country. So I suppose we just want to let you know too that by studying at Otago doesn't necessarily mean you stay in Dunedin. We'd love you to, but your degree is recognised around New Zealand and around Australasia, as well as the world as well. And this is where our international students are basically working. I'm just conscious of the time, so we're just going to run through these. Another great initiative that the local council has alongside the university and Polytech is Job Done. So once again, this is a summer internship program that a lot of students do while they're staying in the country, while you're on your full work visa. You can work full time, through the summer holidays.
Okay, on to our panel discussion.
Okay, so the first topic, and this is open to anyone. So people think that an employer's preference is GPA and academic performance versus that extracurricular activities. And we have really been sort of touching base and talking about this throughout the last 45 minutes. But what are the on and off campus activities that Otago international students could leverage on top of their CVs?
Well, I mean, I think Rhea sort of talked about some of those, you know, like doing something, you know, or going along to startup and having something to talk about what you're doing or about who you are or what you've actually achieved. So, I mean, while there may be some employers who might look at your GPA, mostly that's only a small part of what they're looking at, or your academic performance. They're actually looking at your CV and how you're articulating your experiences on your CV.
Yeah, and touching on CV, because you touched on that early on in the piece as well. CVs or resumes might be very different to your home country, right?
Very.
So really that's the skill that Yvonne can help you with. You might not want to chat GPT all of it and come and learn how it works in New Zealand and what New Zealand employers are looking for.
And I think employers are also, when they're interviewing you, they're trying to see, will you fit into my company culture? So by being able to say that, oh yeah, I joined the Dunedin croquet team or whatever, and these things really help, because it just also during the interview makes you look more human. It might actually get those nervousness and you can talk about it. And
when I first went for my first couple of jobs, I did an internship and then went to a different company because they just didn't have the funding at that point. They knew that I was interested and a bit of a space nerd, so I was secretary of, I was in Wellington at this time, of the Wellington Astronomical Society. And 6 months later, I got a call out of the blue saying, hey, a satellite industry thing has popped up. We know that you're passionate about it. Come along if you want it. Come get it. And that's how I met Pete Beck. Right. But I did not study engineering or rockets, but it was purely because they got to know me and they got to know that I have these weird hobbies that they then picked up the phone, and it was those things that had nothing to do with my degree, but they'd seen that I'm a relatively hard worker through the internship, and were just really interested in my other passions. So it happens all the time. So let people know your whole personality.
Yeah. And don't just look for a job, look for somebody that you'd like to work for, or a company that you'd like to work for because of what they're doing. I think that's a key thing, isn't it?
That's quite important, because then you align your values
Yeah.
to the values of the companies. Then it's no longer work, it's something you're looking towards achieving.
Yeah.
That's really nice advice.
Yeah. Is it a must to have a part-time job so my CV is outstanding?
Well, I think it's helpful. It's easier to get a job if you've got a job. But I don't think you have to have a job before you necessarily graduate, as long as you've got something and you're doing something and you're able to articulate what you're doing. So whether your course is enabling you to learn a lot of skills and you're able to actually talk about what those skills are. You know, I'm thinking especially if you're in the sciences, if you're developing techniques and working with particular machinery and understanding, I don't know, CRISPR or thingies like that.
Something I have no idea what that is.
You know, you're actually developing the skills that you might want to be using if you're leaving. So you don't need that, you know, but an employer might be interested to know, tell me, you know, give me an example of a time when you worked in a team. You know, what role did you play in the team? So yeah, I mean, if you've been playing croquet or croquet, you know, yeah, sport, badminton, I don't know, just going hiking or tramping with a group of people, you know, that's what you can talk about as evidencing your skills. So, you know, well, I think it's great to be able to get an internship, but you don't have to have an internship to actually get a job.
And I think it's about following those passions that you have and seeing those as skills that you are learning, like coming to a new country to study, that is skills and development within itself. It's not just studying, you know, you are putting yourself out there and you are showing, like an interview question might be, tell us about a challenging time that you've had and how you overcame it.
Exactly.
So thinking about how can you give evidence to that based on yourself and what you're doing, and why you're doing it.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So we've talked about, we are a smaller city, we're a university city, and we've touched on quite a lot of this, that the opportunities Dunedin can bring can go far beyond Dunedin. But we also touched a lot on about connections. So do you feel there's less opportunities because we're a smaller city, or do you actually think there's more?
Well, I think it's always steady because we're a university city. Students come and students leave.
Yeah.
So there's always a turnover.
Yeah.
You know,
And there's a benefit to it. Like in a smaller city, it's easier to figure out who should you be engaging with. And it's really easy to keep a finger on the pulse and figure out, cool, I know that this person knows this person, let's get connected. And so because the connections are easier, the opportunities are easier to get. You're not in a pool of 600 people going for one job. You can probably meet the hiring person before you are actually applying for that job, and they will pick up that phone call.
Yes, Dunedin has been attracting a lot of small to medium companies to come and start and establish themselves in Dunedin because it's cheaper living costs, for example. The council gives incentives to startups and things like that. So yeah, it's a city that, I mean, just driving to work this morning, looking around, there's huge commercial projects going on.
Massive.
A lot of scaffolding and cranes and things like that.
Yeah, we've got the biggest hospital rebuild in the country at the moment. Again, we're a university with a medical school, so it does attract. So there's lots of skills that we need down in this part of the world. So, and we all call it home and love it. So a question we sometimes get asked as well is about international students being disadvantaged in comparison to New Zealand students in the job market. Something that I found quite interesting when I moved to New Zealand is that a lot of New Zealanders, straight after they graduate, do their OE or their overseas experience. So New Zealand students don't tend to study abroad like you may come here to study. They will study in New Zealand, they will graduate, they go off and work, right?
Yeah.
Which in large numbers.
My parents did in the 60s. It's tradition.
Yeah. So that sort of brings up some scope in the graduate space as well, doesn't it?
Absolutely, yes. I mean, I think we had record numbers of people leaving. At the moment.
Yeah. Post-COVID, everybody wants to get out and
Yes.
explore
They
somewhere
all
new
came
for a
home
while.
and now they're like, okay, let's go now.
And I was a
Um,
COVID graduate, so graduated, started work, COVID hit, so there was no opportunity for that. So a lot of those students that would have done their OE are now heading off to do that.
Mhm.
So it's a great time to come and grab a job.
Yeah.
And I think the perspective that an international student brings to the table is quite different from somebody who's lived in the country the whole time. So you're always going to have like a bit of an edge.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah.
And I mean, we've also touched on this question throughout the discussions today, but you know, employers in Auckland or Wellington hiring graduates from Dunedin or from other cities. On a resume, would you actually put where you're living, or how do you think there's a challenge there?
I mean, for some employers it might be, and especially if they're wanting the job filled tomorrow and they think, oh, can we meet, you know, in the next couple of days and you're in Dunedin or something. But I mean, a lot of employers do the Zoom thing. You do that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I applied in Tauranga over Zoom and then moved once I got the job.
Yeah, I did the same. I applied on Zoom, moved from Auckland down to Dunedin for the job.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, if you're applying for a job in Dunedin and you're living in Dunedin, could actually be a good idea to put that you're in Dunedin and wanting to stay. So I think that's the other thing, is that you're not just applying for a job, you're applying for a company. You're applying for a company in a certain place, and you have to think about that as a more broad way to approach applying for a job. In actual fact, employers in New Zealand do actually prefer Otago graduates. We always get Otago graduates, more, you know, having more of them than Auckland or Vic or Canterbury, because we've got young people living in a university city, not living at home.
Yeah.
So they tend to be more independent, and I mean, if you're coming from overseas, you're already all that. So, you know, this is what an employer in New Zealand wants: someone who is mature, can hit the ground running, can talk well about themselves and about what they've done, and want to contribute to whoever that employer is, not just get any old job.
Nice. Okay, so some tips for international students in their career journey. I think we've probably covered most of those, haven't we? So hopefully you've been paying attention. If not, a recording will be sent to you and you can take it in your own time to read back on that. And then just finishing up with some frequently asked questions. Vic?
Yeah. So one question that's sort of come through is, can international students work in New Zealand while studying after graduating? I can answer that.
Alrighty.
Yes, you can. So please look at, I'm not an immigration expert, so I'm just going to say, depending on, it'll be on your offer and your student visa, read it carefully. But for the majority of students, yes, they can. You can work part-time, 20 hours a week while you're studying, and then full-time while in the holidays. And then once you've completed a program, once again, check the program that you are doing. You can apply to up to 3 years, what we call a post-study work visa.
Yeah, and all the details will be on Immigration New Zealand because they can change frequently. So just make sure you stay in touch there. Yeah. looking at students finding placement or part-time jobs. Do you help with that?
Well, we help with the strategy to do that. So we don't actually, you know, give a job to somebody. Oh, you. I mean, sometimes we might, depending if what your skills are. And, you know, if employers come to us and said, oh, you know, we need someone with these particular skills. And if someone has mentioned those to us, we will. I mean, that will happen with academics, and that'll happen if you network as well.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you let people know what it is that you want. A lot of international students don't know that in Dunedin you can go and knock on doors and actually talk to people and ask if they've got any part-time work. I mean, they can say no. And if they do, you always say, oh, is there anyone else that you think I can talk to? I mean, we're a small city, so people know people, and that's how you can get, well, that's the strategy on trying to find work, is meeting people and building on your network to find where a job might be. I mean, there is the workforce jobs, as Sarah said about the hospital that's been built. You can walk in there. It's actually called a jobs and skills hub. And so they get employers come to them and say, oh, we look after these skills, we want people with these skills. You can walk in there, and if they've got something that meets your skills, boom, you've got a part-time job. So yeah, the other day that happened really, really quickly for one guy. And
fantastic. And coming with a family, because we definitely get a lot of masters and PhD students coming in. So can Otago help family?
Yeah, absolutely. So the Career Development Centre recognises that for the PhD students in particular, or even master's students, for them to be able to concentrate on their study, and their partner is looking for either permanent job or part-time work, because, you know, they've got children to look after, we're really happy to help them. I mean, personally, I love little kids when they bring in their little children in to see me, but we're not a daycare centre, but, you know, it's, you can book into daycare centres, and yeah, I do hear that international students, children, love our schools.
Excellent.
Yeah, so friendly.
Fantastic. So wrapping up, looking ahead, so what people think your career path will look like. Mine was definitely the below one.
Yeah, that was mine. That was mine. Yeah.
Did anybody in the room have that line? No, careers and where your journey takes you. And that's the most exciting thing. I mean, I'm originally from Scotland, migrated to New Zealand 25 years ago. I now have the joy of spreading the word of Otago to many different nationalities. If I had been 18 and somebody said that to me, I wouldn't have thought that for a million years. So, and you never know. I didn't even know this was a job. You know, like, it's amazing career. So there's lots of opportunities ahead. I think this is what we touched on. There's going to be change, but it's embracing the change and skilling along with it and making those connections and learning the change that we touched about. Really big on the transferable skills. I am stopping calling them soft skills now. It's transferable. I love it. Human skills, lifelong learning, all those career management that we touched on today. So lots of things. So hopefully today helped you and give you a little insight into what the future can hold for you if you choose to study at Otago, and what can happen in New Zealand and beyond that. So huge thanks to the panel today. It's been amazing to hear your journeys, what Startup Dunedin can offer, what the Careers Advisory Centre can offer. And yeah, we feel very lucky, Vic and I, to be surrounded by great support as well for us to be able to help our students.
I'm proud to live in Dunedin.
I know, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, Google Startup Dunedin after this, see where some of the stuff's going on. Education Perfect, learn about some of the companies that are here. So fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us today, and yeah, have a great day.
Thank you very much.